Together is the latest body horror movie starring Dave Franco and Allison Brie. They play a couple named Tim and Millie who decide to go move out in the middle of nowhere on the countryside. Once there, they stumble upon something that'll then force them to be drawn together, putting the couple on a path to try and do everything not to end up merging. That's all pretty much say. I'll give you spoilers to you guys. This will be a spoiler-free review, so Together. I actually got to see this movie months ago. I got an email from Neon saying if I wanted a free ticket to go see it, and well, I like Dave Franco, body horror. It was at a film festival and I can hang out with some of my online film friends. I thought, sure, why not? And it was one of those rare times where I got to go into a movie completely blank. There was no trailer out. All I had was the title. Dave Franco was in the movie. In fact, the only thing I had was this picture online, but nothing else. It's such a rare time I get to go into a movie like that because with my job, I'm always looking at trailers, looking up breakdowns, even spoiling myself at times so I can give you the latest news, and it was really refreshing. And maybe that's why I came out like really loving the movie, to the point that when I first saw it, I was like, it's best horror movie of the year. Now I'm thinking to myself, there might be one or two movies I could prefer over it if we're speaking strictly straight up horror. Still though, it's a really great film. So this is from director Michael Shanks, who apparently also has a YouTube background. So just throw them off into the list of people that jump from YouTube to filmmaking, becoming more and more common, and that's really awesome to see. But I say because I think the film is shot really well. It's got a nice color palette, and in some of the more darker, creepier moments, especially when it comes to like just staring at a black darkened screen, it plays really well in your fears with that. Things where you kind of start to imagine what is lurking there before you get revealed what's actually there. I'm also gonna say right up front, this is also a kind of a slow burn movie, but it's one of those slow burns where I was never really bored throughout it because it's such an intriguing premise. Now that trailers and details about the movie are more out there, I still want to be cautious about what I say, but with the title Together and even the poster and the whole eyeball thing they're doing, you can imagine what's going on, and I think that idea is such a good premise, especially with the two characters we have. So I didn't even know Dave Franco and Allison Brie were together in real life. I was watching the movie going, y'all, they have great chemistry, man. These two guys should date. Lo and behold, they are married. Cheating a little bit because their chemistry was through the roof. They have really good banter with each other. Whenever they are joking around or playing off one another, it comes off very naturally. And that's super helpful because their relationship is really what is the driving force of the movie. They're not a perfect couple. They have their issues. And in fact, that's what makes the premise so intriguing. They're a couple that doesn't even know if they still want to be together. They have their issues, some things that are very common that for people who've been in a long-term relationship might be able to deal with. Sorry, honey. I would hate to be stuck together with you. Oh my goodness, can you imagine? No, of course, I love my honey. No, but the way their relationship plays out and how you feel them teeter-tottering between, do we stay together, do we not, bringing up, it's like, are we together just because we've been together so long so we're just comfortable, and now they have this driving force that is forcing them to come close together as much as ever. All the stuff they are able to play into with that, I think makes the movie so much fun and horrific, because as I was mentioning, yeah, we love our partner, but there are things that happen in this movie that the body horror in here gets me so well. I almost didn't want to watch it a second time because of certain body horror moments in this movie. It's not that it's like gory or grotesque, but the movie does enough to paint a picture for a couple of scenes. All I'm gonna say is the bathroom scene. You'll know it when you get there. And it's not even a scene that shows you a lot or gives you a lot of blood, but just the sound effects, the facial expression, the music and tense score, that there is a really great score in this movie, will be the thing to send shivers down your spine, have you turning away, and just leaving you a little grossed out. If I had to get on some of the things I was more mixed to negative about, I think some people are going to feel a little bit wanting more. The thing and the reason the stuff is happening in this movie is lightly tapped, or I think is given just enough explanation where most people will be satisfied, but I have heard heard people complain that it doesn't do enough. They want more answers, or they feel some things are left too open. On that same note, I think the ending, not that it's divisive, but it's certainly one that not everyone's gonna love the ending. I was fine with it and it worked all right, although there were a couple of loose ends I would have preferred tied up. But really, aside from that, like, I had a good time with it. I was even saying I was more surprised with the way the trailers were sometimes painting the picture of this movie, because the film actually has a great sense of humor to it. Not to say it's like a laugh out loud movie, but there are a lot of good subtle jokes, and Dave Franco obviously is good with that. We've seen him in a lot of other fun comedies, and he brings that same humor here, where it does enough to lighten up the moment, and even in some of the more intense moments, that little tiny sprinkle of humor actually adds on to you being grossed out and cringing. Lately, I feel like that's become my favorite kind of horror movies, where it does have that creep out, gross effect on you, but can still actually make you laugh without taking away some of the more heavy moments from the film. And Together is one of those movies. Right now, it is in my top 3 of best horror movies this year. So when it comes to Together, I'm gonna give action 2.5 stars. Like I said, it is a slow burn movie, and a lot of the body horror doesn't come in till about halfway into the movie. But I think the film does such a good job of setting up our characters, putting the premise all together, that when those gross out elements come into play, they feel very impactful. Commenting the movie, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I felt like it was a great use of the humor. A lot of good jokes from Dave Franco, nothing that felt overbearing or really made this movie feel silly, but it's enough also where the movie doesn't feel too serious, too heavy-handed. You are watching something that has kind of a ridiculous premise. Drama in the film, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I think the story at heart is very simple. It's just a couple with relationship issues, and then they are put on a path where something is kind of forcing them to get through those issues, whether they like it or not. Suspense the movie, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I think you will be on the edge of your seat because of the slow burn nature and the way this thing is slowly bringing our characters together. You are wondering, what's the next thing that's gonna be joined? What sacrifices are they gonna make? How far will they go to stay apart? And some of the things they do will get you squealing. Horror in the film, I think I am going to give it 3 stars. I think there is something terrifying about forcefully being joined to even somebody you love. A couple of moments in here have me thinking about, although I love my partner, I would not want that specific thing to happen to me. When it comes to the 3 C's, I'm thinking critics are going to be the one to enjoy this the most. It has the right amount of character development, story progression, and just the metaphor of what's going on with this couple and how the premise plays into that, I think is really well done. For Together, I think it's a movie not just worth watching in theaters, but also adding to your personal collection.
That's a keeper. Yes.
Again, that's just my opinion on the movie, guys. I thought this was a really great one, but I'm curious to hear from you. Did you think this was a letdown? Were you not that impressed? What are the top 3 horror movies for you this year? Because like I said, I think this falls in there with me. I'm like Sinners, 28 years later, or Bring Her Back, and Together. Oh, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for me. This is up there, though. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, 3C Films, or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.